Hello. My name is Sarah, and I'm a solution engineer at CyberGRX. The goal of this presentation is to provide an overview and demonstration of how the CyberGRX exchange and software platform will help Acme address process inefficiencies and build a world-class third-party risk management program. To make the best use of our time and keep discussions on track, let's take a look at the agenda. The executive summary ensures that we've accurately captured the impact of Acme's challenges and what an ideal state might look like. Next, we'll present insights from the analysis of vendor data provided, followed by how CyberGRX proposes to help Acme solve its challenges and achieve its ideal state. If we stay on track, we should arrive in your portfolio for a live demonstration in about 5 minutes. We learned that inefficient vendor onboarding is the result of changes in stakeholder expectations and the ability and willingness of vendors to meet expedited cycle times. Vendor onboarding delays are resulting in business partner frustration, and hasty assessment reviews are resulting in poor analysis of vendor security hygiene. In a perfect world, vendor assessments would be immediately available and high-priority findings would be called out to and ready for Acme's analysis. Finally, as a result of the increase in cybercrime impacting third parties, management needs improved program visibility and confidence that proper risk treatment is underway. These needs aren't uncommon. In a recent survey conducted by Deloitte, almost half of organizations are implementing progressive alternatives to the traditional due diligence process in order to both onboard third parties faster and to enable monitoring of emerging threats. The good news is that we can fast-track your program. Upon importing your third parties into your CyberGRX portfolio, we identified that 37% of your vendors are already on the exchange. This constitutes a significant improvement in assessment delivery time for Acme. For onboarding of companies not yet on the exchange, Acme can leverage predictive intelligence, which uses machine learning algorithms to identify capabilities and weaknesses in vendor security. Customers use predictive as an alternative to traditional self-assessment when time is of the essence. Now let's look at what insights were revealed upon entering your vendors into your CyberGRX portfolio. When we zoom out and look at the size of your portfolio, we know that you have critical vendors, but there are also third parties within the medium and lower inherent risk strata that are exposed to vulnerabilities as well. Lower-tier vendors are not typically top of mind until a crisis breaks, such as SolarWinds or Log4j. Of the nearly 200 high inherent risk vendors, we determined that 86 either had attested or predicted deficiencies which made them vulnerable to follow-on ransomware or supply chain disruption. When you have a single source of truth for your entire vendor portfolio, you can quickly drill down to what you care about most. We can quickly identify your highest risk third parties. There are several vendors slightly above this risk tolerance line, starting with swipe point of sale. Acme will want to determine where to set its risk tolerance. CyberGRX Advisory Services can offer guidance in establishing good practices for setting risk acceptance thresholds. Let's dive into the platform and see some examples of portfolio and detail-level visibility, and why swipe is vulnerable to ransomware. The third parties in the scatterplot's upper right-hand quadrant are the riskiest in your portfolio. Swipe point of sale is among them. Let's drill in to examine Swipe's security profile and what makes it vulnerable to the possible ransomware event that is keeping your leadership awake at night. You'll find the residual risk line chart particularly useful. Not only can you see Swipe's inherent and predicted risk scores all in one place, but they are broken out into the 4 possible outcomes as well. Apropos of Acme's leadership's concern around ransomware and supply chain attacks, the line chart shows that Swipe's data loss and disruptive predicted risk scores are relatively low. Since you're authorized to see Swipe's assessment, you can see those results in the same chart as well, making this one visualization a great summary. Let's look at Swipe's findings to see what deficiencies may have caused Swipe to make it onto our top 10 list. Swipe has 2 high-priority findings. Security awareness training is the #1 defense against phishing, which happens to be malware's favorite delivery system. That solves the mystery of why Swipe is on the top 10 list and vulnerable to ransomware. Cloud storage buckets, if misconfigured, is problematic if Swipe is storing credit card data. Their MITRE control coverage in the radar chart, however, makes these deficiencies seem like outliers. Let's see how they answered these questions in their assessment. Acme should recommend that Swipe add additional topical areas to its security training modules, which will be low cost and high impact. The strength of data protection in its cloud storage is even more alarming given the volume of data it is likely to process and control on Acme's behalf. Both deficiencies should be mitigated as soon as possible. Before we break, let's quickly look at one of your vendors that doesn't have a completed assessment. As you may recall from the presentation, we have good coverage of the third parties you care about most, and our exchange is growing rapidly, but periodically you will need to triage vendors that haven't completed an assessment yet. The value of predictive intelligence and having all cyber-relevant vendors in your portfolio became powerfully apparent over the 2021 holiday season, when customers needed help scanning for vulnerabilities to Log4j. Atlas Cloud is one such vendor. CyberGRX is predicting that Atlas will have some control deficiencies. Let's determine if they are important to us or not. After considering the vendor's inherent, predictive, and continuous monitoring data in the Atlas profile, I'm less concerned. I would probably do two things here given the state of emerging threats and the CyberGRX subscription model. I would go ahead and order an assessment, especially if I had any intention of expanding my use of Atlas services. The best way to maximize your CyberGRX investment is to keep your portfolio full of vendor data, so that triage efforts are focused on analysis and not vendor collection. CyberGRX arms you with powerful insights about every vendor in your portfolio, when self-attested assessments are available for your review and when they are not.